Much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on." This quote sets the tone. Steve's return to Apple and leadership at Pixar were guided by instinct, leading to transformative impact. Thus the return to Apple. The Apple that Steve returned to after its purchase of NXT at the end of 1996 scarcely resembled the company he remembered. Apple had lost $800 million that year. Steve had so little trust in the board that he insisted all but 2 directors resign. But he also found many employees whose talents and love for Apple struck him as phenomenal. He assured a doubtful NXT colleague, "There's something there worth saving." Steve remained driven by the same mission he articulated in his early years: to put something back into the pool of human experience. And in his years away, longer than his first time at the company, he had matured and learned how to lead. As CEO of Apple and Pixar, he held both roles until Disney acquired Pixar in 2006. He saw his job as a number 1 recruit, number 2, set an overall direction, and number 3, inspire and cajole and persuade. He said, "You're not grabbing the pencil out of the 25-year-old's hand to do it better than they are. If you're smart, you're hiring 25-year-olds who are smarter than you." At Apple, making sure the ground was still there meant streamlining, a skill Steve had mastered in the lean years at NXT and Pixar. His second tenure at Apple was a study in focus. Soon after he returned, he slashed the company's product offerings from 17 to 4. This upset some fans and led to thousands of job losses, but he was unwavering in his belief that it was necessary to save the company. "You've got to choose what you put your love into really carefully," he said. A stream of Apple breakthroughs, including iMac OS X, iPod, iTunes, iPhone, and iPad, reflected that focused love, as did Pixar's blockbuster and award-winning films from the same period: A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, Wall-E, Up, and Toy Story 3. Steve saw every product and film as a way of expressing to the rest of our species our deep appreciation. 6 Pixar films won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature during this third act of Steve's life. And when he resigned from Apple 6 weeks before his death from pancreatic cancer in 2011, his beloved company, with its 60,000 employees, seasoned leadership team, and clear mission guiding its future, was the most valuable in the world. Steve returned to a crumbling Apple, yet saw its potential. His leadership, recruiting talent, setting direction, and inspiring, rebuilt it. Streamlining products sparked innovations like the iMac and iPhone, while Pixar's films told timeless stories. By 2011, Apple was a titan, and Pixar's legacy was secure. Steve, on returning to Apple, speaking to Stanford Business School students in 2003, Steve recalled his internal struggle 7 years earlier over whether to return to Apple. "I'm working away at NXT, working away at Pixar, reading the rumors in the papers that Apple is going to buy a company, this other company, for their operating system. And one of our guys said, 'We should sell NXT to them. We've got a much better operating system.' And I said, 'Forget it. It will never happen.' So this is one of those cases where, when you hire the right people, they don't always listen to you in key moments in time. So this person, being very smart, didn't listen to me. And he went over and talked to Apple and said, 'You ought to buy NXT.' And they were interested. Then he comes back and says, 'They want to talk to us.' And I was like, 'No, go away. You're making this up.' He did this twice. Finally, I said, 'Okay, fine, let's talk to them.' I couldn't believe it. They really were interested. And so we ended up selling them NXT. And the CEO running Apple at that time made it clear he didn't want me around, which was fine. And so I stayed on just as a consultant to him to try to help him a little bit, because the management team he was inheriting from NXT was actually quite a bit better than the one he had at Apple. And I have to be careful what I say here. Let me just say that you need a license to drive a car, but you don't need a license to be the CEO of a company, and maybe you should need one. Anyway, so I was pretty much out of the picture. Then one of Apple's board members called me. I had never met this person, and he said, "Look, I want your straight scoop on what you think of the CEO here." And I thought, I don't even know this person. Whatever I tell them, they'll probably go tell the CEO, and then I will be persona non grata, and I will not have a chance to help my team not get crushed by these other folks there. And I thought a lot. And then I thought, this is a director of a company that I started and that I loved for many years, and still do to some extent. And so how can I not tell them the truth? So I spilled out my guts, and never heard from him again. And so I figured, fine. I was spending my days at Pixar and having a great time. It was springtime, going into summer. And 6 years ago, a few weeks from now, I got a call back from him, "Hi, the director," and he said, "We are going to dismiss our CEO, and we would like you to come back and run the company." And I said, "I can't do that. I'm the CEO of Pixar. It's a publicly traded company. We have all these wonderful employees. We have these shareholders, and I can't go be CEO of another public. I can't desert them, so I can't do this. I'll help you any way I can, but I can't." He called back a few days later, and he said, "We'd like you to come back as an interim leader and help us find a new CEO." And I said, "Well, I have to think about that." And I was thinking about it, and called up a friend of mine, a really smart guy, a good friend I'd known for a long time that works at another company in the industry. And I probably woke him up in the morning, about 8 o'clock one morning, and I was telling him about my struggles about, could I do this? Should I not? And this and that, and finally he interrupted me after about 4 minutes, and he said, "Steve, I don't give a shit about Apple. Why are you telling me all this?" And I said, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." And I hung up the phone. And I realized, I do give a shit about Apple. And that's kind of what crystallized it for me. And so I went back there as an interim CEO. And I was terrified because I was afraid our Pixar employees and shareholders would feel like I was deserting them. And that's why I went back just as an interim CEO. I only planned to stay 90 days. But Apple was in a pretty tough situation, and the candidates it was attracting for the CEO job, they were not so good. And I almost hired one, and at the last minute I just said, "I can't do this to these guys." I just thought, well, it will take another 90 days to find somebody, and that turned into a year. And I decided right up front that I was just going to act like I was the permanent CEO, because they didn't need a caretaker. This thing was in intensive care. It was about 90 days away from bankruptcy. It was in pretty bad shape. Steve's reluctant return, sparked by a colleague's persistence and his own love for Apple, shows his loyalty. His interim role became a mission to save a company on the brink, revealing his matured leadership. More entrepreneurial Apple. Steve was not yet CEO when he sent a company-wide email laying out plans to take Apple back to its roots. From Steve Jobs, to Apple employees subject a more entrepreneurial Apple date, August 12, 1997, 8:10 a.m. Renewing Apple is a journey, and we have begun that journey during the past 4 weeks by taking some decisive first steps. A new board of directors, a new product strategy and product roadmap, a decision to really focus on 2 market segments, education and creative content, a new advertising agency, and a detente and working partnership with Microsoft. Last week we announced some of these steps at Macworld, and so far our shareholders and the public seem to approve. Today we are taking a few more steps which will begin to take Apple back to its roots as a more egalitarian, entrepreneurial company. They are 1. Stock options. From now on, we will be using stock options as a primary form of beyond salary compensation. Stock options are egalitarian. When anyone's stock goes up $1 per share, everyone's stock goes up $1 per share, and they are the best way to give our employees a true stake in the company's future success. And we want our employees to be rewarded by the company's success in the same way that our public shareholders are through stock appreciation. To lead the way, the executive team has agreed to forfeit their current and future cash bonus plans in exchange for more stock options. As you know, we repriced all stock options to $13.25 on July 11th. In addition, I am pleased to announce that on August 5th our board approved new stock option grants totaling 6 million shares at the price of $19.75. Those receiving these new grants will get the good news later this week. Apple has granted stock options for over 10 million shares since the beginning of this calendar year, and employees now hold stock options for over 20 million shares, which is more than 16% of Apple's total outstanding shares. This is a very high percentage for a company of Apple's size and comparable to many Valley startups. As we restore Apple's fortunes, our public shareholders and our employee stock option holders will all benefit in harmony. 2. New severance plan, effective today. We are changing our severance plan for all employees to be more in line with an entrepreneurial company. There will now be only one severance plan for all employees. This plan, like the previous plans, will provide a 60-day notice period with full pay and benefits. In addition, employees will be eligible to receive 1 additional week of severance pay for each full year of service. 3. Sabbatical program. Apple needs all hands on deck for the foreseeable future as we turn our company's fortunes around. We are therefore discontinuing the sabbatical program at the end of our current fiscal year. Employees who have earned their sabbatical as of September 26, 1997, will be eligible to take their sabbatical at a mutually disagreeable time during fiscal year 1998. 4. Corporate travel. Corporate travel will continue to be constrained to essential trips. Our egalitarian travel policy specifies coach class travel for everyone on trips lasting less than 10 hours and business class travel for everyone on trips of 10 hours or longer. 5. Facilities. We will continue to move as many employees as possible onto our R&D campus site. We will greatly benefit by the resulting beehive effects, including faster communication paths and more unplanned interactions between the various groups. Reflecting this consolidation, we are renaming the R&D campus to the Apple campus beginning today. Thank you for your support as we work together to renew Apple. Steve and the executive team. Steve's email is a bold blueprint for Apple's revival. New board, focused products, Microsoft partnership, and entrepreneurial policies like stock options. It's a call to unify and rebuild. There is something good here worth saving. Avi Tevanian ran software engineering at Nextee and assumed the same role at Apple when it acquired Nextee. He told Steve that the Apple culture at the time of the acquisition was so bad that perhaps the best move might be to sell the company. From Avidis Tevanian to Steve Jobs, subject Apple engineers, date August 14, 1997, 9:31 p.m. Steve, the last couple of weeks have been quite interesting. With this kernel issue spinning out of control, it is clear to me that the cancer within Apple, which we had put into remission, at least in SW engineering a few months ago, came back with a vengeance. I am now applying a new chemo treatment in an attempt to put it back into remission. and I think it will be successful. But we will definitely have another wave of resignations from the sharks that smelled the blood in the water. A bunch of people will get over it, but many will not. The net is the really bad Apple culture we've heard about still lurks out there, and I am convinced that a major problem with past management was their inability to deal with it. While I am a strong-willed person who can survive almost anything, you've seen it firsthand. I must admit these guys are wearing me down. Without any emotional tie to Apple, I, of course, have none. It gets increasingly difficult to come to work each day. In the case of the kernel issue and OS roadmap, I know the decisions we've made are the right decisions. And each day, as I discuss it with more and more people, I believe it even more. In fact, I've discovered just how conniving some of these folks can be just to push their agenda, including pretty severe obfuscation of facts. Combine this all with the reaction to the sabbatical program, which has been very poorly received in engineering. I've heard threats of a sick out, and it makes me think this company isn't worth saving. At least not for the sake of the employees. It really makes me think that maybe now is the time to seriously consider selling the company. It's not clear we'll ever again have the positive aura that we have now, at least temporarily. Anyway, we should get together and discuss all this sometime, face-to-face, one-one, not on the phone. Not urgent. I'm a survivor, but when we both have some time. AV from Steve Jobs to Avadis Tavanian, subject Apple engineers, date August 14, 1997, Tundru 2 PM. AV, I have had the same feeling lately, that Apple employees don't deserve to be saved. They think they work so hard. Heck, I don't see it. They also think they have no responsibility for any of the mess that Apple's in. I don't know who they think engineered and shipped such bad products, who created and authorized such bad marketing, who caused the support to be so bad, etc. They just don't want to share any responsibility for the current state of the company. But there is something good here worth saving. I don't quite know how to express it, but it has to do with the fact that Apple is the ONLY alternative to Windows, and that Apple can still inject some new thinking into the equation. Let's go for a walk and talk about this sometime soon, Steve. AV's frustration with Apple's toxic culture contrasts with Steve's belief in its potential. Steve sees Apple as the sole Windows alternative, a spark worth fighting for. We believe that people with passion can change the world. Steve introduced the Think Different advertising campaign to a small group of Apple employees, September 23, 1997. Howdy, good morning. We were up till 3 o'clock last night finishing this advertising, and I want to show it to you in a minute. See what you think of it. I've been back about 8 to 10 weeks, and we've been working really hard. What we're trying to do is not something really highfalutin. We're trying to get back to the basics. We're trying to get back to the basics of great products, great marketing, and great distribution. We started with the product line. We looked at the product roadmap, going out for a few years, and we said, a lot of this doesn't make sense, and it's way too much stuff, and there's not enough focus. We actually got rid of 70% of the stuff on the product roadmap. I couldn't even figure out the damn product line after a few weeks. You're going to see the product line get much simpler, and you're going to see the product line get much better. There's some new stuff coming out that's incredibly nice. In the same way, I think, we have not kept up with innovations in our distribution. We're not smart enough to do that. So what we're going to do is get really simple and start taking inventory out of those pipelines so we can let the customer tell us what they want and we can respond to it super fast. That gets us to the marketing side of things. To me, marketing is about values. This is a very complicated world. It's a very noisy world, and we're not going to get a chance to get people to remember much about us. No company is. And so we have to be really clear on what we want them to know about us. Now, Apple, fortunately, is one of the half a dozen best brands in the whole world, right up there with Nike, Disney, Coke, Sony. But even a great brand needs investment and caring if it's going to retain its relevance and vitality. And the Apple brand has clearly suffered from neglect in this area in the last few years. And we need to bring it back. Apple is about something more than that. Apple, at the core, its core value, is that we believe that people with passion can change the world for the better. That's what we believe. And so, what we're going to do in our first brand marketing campaign in several years is to get back to that core value. A lot of things have changed. The market is a totally different place than it was a decade ago. And Apple's totally different. And Apple's place in it is totally different. And believe me, the products and the distribution strategy and manufacturing are totally different. And we understand that. But values and core values, those things shouldn't change. So I'm going to go ahead and roll it, and I hope that you feel the same way about it that I do. Steve runs the video. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward, and while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. The Think Different campaign, honoring rebels who changed the world, rekindled Apple's soul. Steve's focus on values over specs revived a neglected brand. Pixar milestones. As 1997 drew to a close, Steve graded Pixar's performance 4 A's, 1 B and 2 F's. From Steve Jobs to J.L. Lauren Saramasa is subject Pixar milestones dated December 20, 1997, 9:26 mm. From my files, dated Monday, October 28, 1996. With my grades as of today, 1997 Milestulus 1. Make Bujas Great A2. Ship 2 Strong Interactive Products FS but A for Getting Out 3. Enter Sequel Business, AS and Almost Exit Sequel Business 4. Greenlight Film Hanther Asa but B for Great Progress 5. Manage Grow hired to 100 people, Pixar U. Expanded infrastructure 6. Longer terms. Keep a larger percentage of the profits. A. Increase Pixar's brand awareness. B. Mostly due to Apple goings on. Let's set our 1998 milestone goals soon after the holidays. Steve's candid grading of Pixar's 1997, celebrating a bug's life and growth, acknowledging misses, shows his relentless pursuit of excellence. A Bug's Life sweeps. From Steve Jobs to Pixar subject. A Bug's Life sweeps Thanksgiving weekend box office, date November 30, 1998, 7:19 a.m. A Bug's Life swept the Thanksgiving box office with a record, setting $46.5 million for the 5-day weekend, breaking the previous Thanksgiving weekend record of $45 million set by Disney's 101 Dalmatians live action in 1996. A Bug's Life also set a new 3-day Sun Thanksgiving weekend record of $33.6 million. The exit polls are exceptionally positive. The audience was equally split between males and females, a very high ratio of malers, and 16% with a highly desirable non-family date audience. We didn't get this high of a non-family audience for Toy Story until 2 weeks after its opening. Audiences loved A Bug's Life and are telling their friends to see it. As for the competition, over the 5-day weekend Rugrats drooled a respectable $27.6 million, Babe Pig in the City squealed across the finish line with just 8.5 million, and Ants was squashed with just 1.2 million. Congratulations go to John, Andrew, Darla, Kevin, and entire A Bug's Life crew. What a special present you have given the world. All of us at Pixar feel so proud to be associated with such excellence. If you divide our Thanksgiving weekend box office of 46.5 million by the average ticket price of around 6, it tells us that around 7.5 million people saw our movie this weekend. Few people ever get the chance to make 7.5 million people laugh so much and feel so good. Congratulations, Steve. Steve's exuberant email celebrates A Bug's Life's triumph, uniting Pixar's team in pride for touching millions with joy. We did it! From Steve Jobs to our Apple employees, subject, we did it! Date December 23, 1998, 9:31 a.m. Yesterday the market data was released. And drum roll, I'm must the non MBR only salale I'm PUTR INTH US during the month of November in US retail and mail order channels, outselling all other brands. iMac captured 7.1% of unit volume and 8.2% of dollar volume, propelling Apple's overall market share in retail and mail order to double from about 5% in August to 10% in November. This incredible achievement is the result of our hard work. Please take a moment and reflect on how far we have come in the last 18 months. It's amazing what we have all accomplished together. I am very proud of our team and feel so excited to be at Apple. Have a wonderful holiday. Steve. The iMac's success, doubling Apple's market share, marks a turning point. Steve's pride in the team's turnaround is palpable. Macintosh turns 15 from Steve Jobs to our Apple employees. Subject: Macintosh turns 15 dated January 24, 1999, 7:49 p.m. 15 years ago today, on January 24, 1984, Apple launched the first Macintosh at Flint Center in Cupertino, California. Its revolutionary ease of use made computing accessible to the rest of us, and its infusion of graphics and typography placed the Macintosh at the intersection of computer science and the liberal arts. While I am not normally one to look back, today is a good day to remember Apple's legacy, which is to bridge the gap between sophisticated technology and the rest of us who make up most of humanity. It's our job to make complex technology easy to use and fun to use. The computer world shows no signs of getting simpler as we enter the coming century. And no other company has yet taken Apple's place as the bridge builder. As we return to our roots and once again begin delivering simpler and better ways to use computers, Apple's future looks both bright and secure. It's been an amazing journey so far, yet we have barely begun. Steve. Steve reflects on the Macintosh's legacy, reinforcing Apple's mission to simplify technology for all, a vision still vital in 1999. Apple's reason for being. From Steve Jobs to Steve Jobs. Subject: Apple's reason for being. Date October 29, 2004, 9:39 p.m. Apple is the world's premier company at building high-technology products that are easy to learn and use by mere mortals. Beginning over 20 years ago, Apple has consistently set the standard for easy-to-use computer systems and software. Why do we do this? Because we are in love with the potential for personal computers to enhance and enrich the lives of regular people. Not just with spreadsheets and databases, but with creative. We're a creatively driven company in everything we do, from breakthrough product features and operating systems to culturally leading product design and advertising. Heck, we invented the personal computer, spawned desktop publishing, and are now bringing desktop movies to millions. Apple is the premier company in the world at making the exploding world of high technology easy to learn and use, thereby enabling mere mortals to enrich their lives using it. Steve's note to himself distills Apple's core, empowering mere mortals with intuitive, creative technology, a mission driving the iMac and beyond. So hopefully we captured a bit of Pixar's soul. In November 2000, Steve officially opened Pixar's headquarters building in Emeryville, California. I just wanted to say a few words as we sort of come together to live here. You know, I have seen this building, every square millimeter of this building, in almost every stage of its planning and development and construction. Except for one thing, which is I have never seen people in it. It makes all the difference. We are moving from 4 buildings to 1. One of the things people have said this morning is they are seeing people for the first time that work at our company. That's both startling and kind of exciting. We have designed this building to be a more urban environment. That's what this is. This is Town Square right here, and it's a place for you to meet people you have never met before, a place for us to interact and collaborate, which is really the basis of our success. Deciding what building to build was really hard. When you are in rented buildings, it is easy because they don't define who you are. They define who the landlord is. But when you decide to design your own building, you have to ask the question, who are we? Because you want to capture some of the soul of the company in the building and reflect who we are. The design proceeded much like one of our films. First, a treatment, throw it away. Then another, throw it away. And finally, one that is worth developing. And then zillions and zillions of iterations, model after model after model, detail after detail. And hopefully we captured a bit of Pixar's soul in this building. Our architects did an amazing job. This is also a hand-made building. All the steel is hand, joined on this site and bolted together, not welded. Every brick was custom hand-made with an old, not seen today process, and then hand-laid on the site. This land and building and grounds cost just shy of 100 million, about the same as it costs to make one of our films. This equals around 1 year's salary and benefits for everybody in our studio to build this whole place, to buy the land, to build the grounds. We are making this investment in our future because we want the best place in the world to support the best talent in the world, making the best animated features in the world. And we paid for it in cash. We have no debt on this building. We own it. Basically, this building was paid for with the profits we made from A Bug's Life. Pixar's home was in Point Richmond for 11 years. Now our home is here, and many of us will spend the remainder of our professional lives here. We are having an open house and holiday party here on Saturday, December 9, in the afternoon and early evening, when you can bring your family to see our new home. This home has been lovingly built by talented workers. The building has good karma already. But its purpose is not just to be a cool building or to impress anyone on the outside. It is to house and inspire the most talented group of filmmakers in the world. That's you. And so today the architects, Tom, Craig, and the amazing crew that we have here at the company, all of the facilities crew, and the IS Information Systems crew, and everybody who has moved us seamlessly over the last week, we are officially turning the building over to you, the creative owners. So go make some history here. Steve's speech, likening Pixar's campus to a film's creation, reflects his obsession with craft and collaboration. It's a home for creativity, paid for by A Bug's Life success. So, introducing the first Apple Store. In May 2001, Steve recorded a private tour of the first Apple Store for an audience of software developers. Hi, I'm Steve Jobs, and I'm here at Tyson's Corner Mall in Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. And I'm standing in front of this wood barricade we've built in front of our first retail store that's going to open in 6 days. Now, nobody's seen inside here yet, and I'd like to take you inside for a secret little private tour. So come on in. Now, this is our store, and the store's divided into 4 parts. The first quarter of the store has our home section with great home and education products, and our pro section with all our great pro products. Every product we make is in this first 25% of the store. You can see the whole product line. We decided carrying our own products wasn't enough, so we're carrying 6 digital camcorders, 6 digital cameras, 6 MP3 players, and 6 handheld organizers. So you can come in here, and not only can you buy these digital devices, but you can actually hook them right up to the Macs and take them for a spin. Wouldn't it be great if, when you went to buy a computer, or after you bought a computer, if you had any questions you could ask a genius? Well, that's what we've got. This is called the Genius Bar. I'm not a genius, but I'll stand behind here. There'll be somebody here who can do service right in the store, and who could answer any questions you've got about your Mac or any of the peripherals or software that work with it. But maybe the most exciting part of the back of the store is our theater. We've got an exceptional rear projection screen. We can play our latest commercials back here. We can play some incredible videos back here. And of course we can play iTunes visualizations back here. One last thing I want to show you is all our great software. Look at this stuff. We have over 300 titles, from games to the most sophisticated pro applications. There's something for everybody. We can't wait to feature your software right here in every single one of our stores, so go write more for us, and we'll build more shelves for as much as you can write. Take care. The Apple Store, with its Genius Bar and Theater, embodies Steve's vision of a hands-on inspiring tech experience, a mecca for users. This song moves me like few others. Steve drafted playlists of his favorite songs and why he loved them in 2003, the year the iTunes Music Store debuted. From Steve Jobs to Steve Jobs Subject Celebrity Playlist. Right up date December 27, 2003, 4:08 p.m. For a dancer, I first heard this on my car radio while driving down Highway 280, and I started crying. I had not listened to much Jackson Browne at that time and was just blown away by the lyrics. I have since listened to many more of his songs, but this one is still my favorite. Little Green. This is an autobiographical song by Johnny Mitchell about giving a daughter up for adoption. Maybe it's because I'm adopted, but this song moves me like few others. After I realized what this song was about, I cry every time I hear it. She wrote it when she was young, and it remains one of the best of her many great songs. Steve's playlist notes reveal a personal side, moved to tears by lyrics, connecting deeply with Joni Mitchell's story of adoption. This is what it feels like to be living in a golden age. Steve sent himself notes to prepare for a talk on Pixar. From Steve Jobs to Steve Jobs, subject Golden Age, date May 3, 2003, 5:08 p.m. Webster's Dictionary states that the term Golden Age dates from 1555 and means a period of great happiness, prosperity, and achievement. Pixar is in a golden age. With our soon-to-be-released Finding Nemo, we have completed 5 computer-animated feature films, with 3 more in some stage of production. All original Pixar stories. Our track record of 4 for 4, and hopefully 5 for 5, is unparalleled in the history of animation, and indeed in the history of film. Our real golden age is being fueled by the maturing of our people. I have seen Pete, Andrew, and Lee grow into the second generation of Pixar directors, all with the experience of leading the creation of a feature film under their belts. I have seen Darla and Graham grow into our industry's best producers, producing our films with greater and greater mastery. Tonight is a night for celebration, but don't forget to pause for a moment and realize that this is what it feels like to be living in and creating a golden age. And 25 years from now, when a kid, maybe even your grandkid, asks you what it was like to be at Pixar during its golden age, you'll know, if you can only find the words to describe it. Steve's reflection on Pixar's golden age celebrates its unmatched success and the growth of its talent, a legacy for generations. From 1996 to 2011, Steve transformed Apple from near bankruptcy to the world's most valuable company, launching the iMac, iPhone, and more. At Pixar, he nurtured films that touched millions. His focus on simplicity, beauty, and passion drove it all. What inspires you about this era of Steve's life? Share your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next video.